Hello and welcome back to the Baggies Podcast, where of course we're giving you all the latest news, views and opinions on all things Albion. Today, it's a transfer update, but it's not an incoming. It is definitely not an incoming. Unfortunately, we have lost Matheus Pereira, who has moved on a permanent deal to Al-Hilal in Saudi Arabia. We're going to be talking all about that move, giving you the details of the transfer and all that jazz. And all that stuff, and we're also going to give my opinion on it, also hearing a bit of reaction from the fan base, and I'm also looking forward to hearing what you guys think about the transfer of Matheus Pereira to Al-Hilal in the comments section below. So make sure you get in those comments about your thoughts on the transfer and the move. Anyway, before we get into that, make sure you're subscribed to the Baggies Podcast YouTube channel. We're going for 1,000 subscribers by the end of the year, and I'm looking forward to seeing you guys all involved in the content coming up in the future. If you follow us on Twitter at the Baggies Pod, this means you can get involved in videos, and I can read out your comments beforehand and all that jazz. So, without further ado, let's get into analysing this transfer of Matheus Pereira to Al-Hilal. Arguably our best player has left, but let's get straight into it. So, let's get straight into the details of the Matheus Pereira transfer. Obviously, an upsetting time for a lot of Albion fans, I suppose. It's, losing a very good player and probably one of your most talented, especially over the last 10 years or so. I definitely think he is that. I think it's been quite difficult for Albion fans to contemplate, but in the end, Matheus Pereira has forced his move to Al-Hilal in Saudi Arabia. Of course, it's a bit different and obviously very what we're used to here at the Hawthorns, obviously forcing a move and revealing a club statement and all that jazz. I think it's very different to what we've been having for quite some time, to be honest. I think we've seen it before. We've seen players go, we've seen players leave, force their way out. But let's go back to the start of this story, I suppose. So he's been training with us throughout pre-season, and we've seen pictures of him training. He played the behind closed doors friendly against Salford as well. I think that was probably, we saw the pictures of him from that, and we were thinking, wow, he's going to be staying at the club. He's obviously shown a bit of commitment to the club to be able to feature in this friendly game. And we quite frankly didn't see him again in training or in the games or anything like that in the friendly games that we've had recently. So we've had friendly games against Watford, we've had one against Woking that he wasn't involved in. We've had one with Birmingham City as well, wasn't involved in that at all. So yeah, I think it's definitely been confirmed for a bit of a while now that he's not going to be playing a part in this. I think Matheus Pereira, he's kind of forced that move. Now I'm going to read out what his statement said that he released. I think it was quite it's quite obvious that he wanted to leave the club and quite obvious that he wanted to get out of Albion. And I don't blame him for trying to excel his career, but for me, Al-Hilal is a sideways step for him. It's not going forwards. It's not going in any way forwards, to be honest, for Matheus Pereira. It's just going back. It's actually a downward step. I think they're probably on par with League Two, Al-Hilal, and Saudi Arabian football. It's just quite frankly not good enough. You saw Saudi Arabia's national team at the World Cup a few years ago. They didn't do great. We see them at the Club World Cup, and Al-Hilal have been in the Club World Cup, and they don't do necessarily very well at all. But let's read out what Pereira's statement said. So Valérien Ismaël called him essentially uncommitted and not committed to playing this style and not committed to playing for the club and has his eyes elsewhere, is what Valérien Ismaël said in a press conference, and that the player is very keen to leave the club. So this is what he said: I remained silent and I was not going to address anything until after the transfer window out of respect for the fans and all my teammates. However, being called not committed with the club, I felt extremely disrespected. I've been living off football since I was 12 years old. Actually, I'm just going to skip through bits of this because this is quite long. We fought our way back to the Premier League and we fought to stay in the Premier League, and I know every single professional also fought for those goals just as I did. It's extremely wrong for anyone to say that I'm not committed since I train and commit as I normally would and give 100% each day. I don't want to leave the club through the back door. That was never my plan or intention. I want to leave, but I want to seek new experiences, but to do so in a fair and correct manner. I will forever be grateful for West Bromwich Albion, to its fans and every one of those who works in the club and welcome me with open arms. So essentially he's arguing that he is the professional player, but I guess he doesn't want to play to get an injury, but I suppose Valérien Ismaël also doesn't want him to play because it's pointless having him. If you've got a player who's too eager to force a move and just wants to leave, then why would you play him, to be honest? Why would you even entertain having him in the team if he's not going to be committed and he's not even interested in playing? I do get that. I do get that from Ismail, and I do get that he. I also think that Valerian Ismail's comments were a little bit, I suppose, not uncalled for, but they kind of hampered the move for Matheus Pereira, because if you think about it, if you see a manager coming out and saying a player wants to leave and we're desperate to get rid of him, we need to sell to buy other players, clubs are going to go, well, you're desperate then, we'll give you less money than you would normally get for him. So I think that's hampered the deal a little bit with Ismail. But I also think Matheus Pereira hasn't helped himself. If you're looking at a Premier League move for Matheus Pereira and you're thinking about the clubs that were interested in him, so you had Villa, you had Leicester, you also had West Ham in there. All three had made inquiries and were interested in the move, not necessarily putting a bid in, but were interested. A lot of those have seen that message and that I don't get. But what's it mean? A lot of teams have seen that statement from Matheus Pereira and thought, right, well, you're not committed to the club you're playing for. You're not obeying your contract. You're not playing for the club that you're signed to play for. What are you going to do with our club then? What if you come to Leicester? If he goes to Leicester, what's he going to do in 2 years when he wants another move? When his agent decides, I fancy a bit of cash. So do you, Matheus. Let's get you up the football pyramid a little bit quicker, and let's force a move out of there. So at the end of the day, players like that will always try and outgrow the club that they're at. We saw Saudi Berahino try and force a move, not training, all that jazz. We saw the same with, I think, Nasser Chadli, who didn't really want to play Championship football. I think we also saw that with Peter Odemwingie, who eventually drove himself to QPR. We see it all the time at Albion. We're a club that gets outgrown very easily by players such as Matheus Pereira, who feel that their importance lies bigger than the club. And obviously, I think that's a bit, I don't like players like that. I get really frustrated when I see players voicing that sort of stuff like that and saying, I do want to leave. It does annoy me. And the fact that he's now gone to Al-Hilal, who, to the greatest respect of Al-Hilal, number one, your fans have been absolutely dreadful in dealing with this move. I think if you even dare mention Matheus Pereira's name on Twitter, you get an angry swarm of Al-Hilal fans coming after you. So, number one, your fans have acted dreadfully. But number two, that it's not a big move in terms of football for him. Yes, it is a big move in terms of money, and obviously he is going to earn a lot more money than perhaps he'll be getting at Albion. At Al-Hilal, obviously he's not earning a massive amount at Albion, but he will be earning a lot at Al-Hilal. And obviously, if that's for his family, you've got to say fair play. You want the best for your family. At the end of the day, this is your job. It's not anything bigger than that. It's not you're not really it's nothing particularly special for him. Maybe football perhaps isn't particularly special for him. It's just football. It's just a job for him, and obviously he wants to improve his family's life. I think if any of us were in the real world were invited to double our salary, triple our salary, I think we'd probably go for it. It doesn't really matter where your loyalties lie. I think that's probably what you'd want. But I think that Matheus Pereira has acted a bit. I don't like it when people do this. This is coming out saying I want to leave. In my opinion, you play for the club, you obey the contract that you've signed to do, and you should keep going and doing that until you found a suitable buyer. I think Sam Johnston is acting with class at the moment. Sam Johnston, who's come back from international duty and holiday duties earlier, which I think is class from him, and I think that's great to see from him. Obviously, coming back from his holiday duties slightly earlier than expected, because and coming to get on with the job. I'm sure if Sam Johnston had a move coming in, I'm sure he'd try and attempt to take it, but he's continuing with his contract. He's continuing with his duties to Albion for the time being. He's not spending the time really messing about, saying I'm not playing, saying the manager's wrong about me. It's just pointless doing that. I think you may as well just get on with the job, carry on with the club that you're contracted to play for until the move comes. In terms of the move that we've got, I think we're going to get about £18 million for him, which is about 23 million euros or something like that. We're going to get it paid over the 2 years of instalments, half now, half later. So I think it's going to be 10 million up front and then an additional 8 million in terms of over the next year or so. So it's not really the fee that we wanted. I think the fee is ridiculous. Personally, I think you could. For some reason, there's no market for Matheus Pereira. I think that may be due to his outbursts and potential attitude issues. Allardyce and Ismail have both come out now and said that his attitude is not great. So I think other managers will see that, and there's no market for Pereira at the moment, which is strange because in any other day you'd be having teams fighting 40 million over you, 35, 40 million over it. But he's not. He kicked up a fuss, and I think that's really not played into his hands if he wants to play at an elite level of football, which he's not in Saudi Arabia. He's simply going for the money, which is fair play to him if he wants to do it for his family. You know, at the end of the day, it is a job, so I do understand that. But in terms of football, that is your career. That is a career in a little bit of tatters, in my opinion. I think you've got two. If you know he signs a 3-year deal or whatever it is, he's signing there in 3 years' time. What is he going to be? Is he going to be 27, 28? And he's going to try and come back to Europe after playing, you know, essentially, you know, a not great standard of football. Our team's going to still take him. A team's going to still want him after that time. He's going to be 28 by the time that transfer move works out for him. So I think, you know, it's difficult to look at. So obviously we wanted 25 to 30 million. We're ending up getting 18, which is not great for Albion. Of course, that money is going to go to a transfer budget, so I suppose we can't complain in that respect. I don't think he fits naturally in Ismail's system, and I don't think Ismail's the sort of person to change his system for a player. But he's going to pick up about £4 million a year and sign a 3-year deal for Al-Hilal, or he has signed that deal for them. So I guess fair play to Matheus Pereira. Thank you very much for the memories. Obviously, my particular favourite memory has got to be him in that Chelsea game. I think he was incredible, chipping the goalkeeper and obviously making that nice little reverse shot that he played as well. I think that's probably my favourite memory. I did enjoy the Wolves game as well with his penalties that he scored in that. However, in the end, he's disrespected the club by deciding to move in this way. I wish him all the best, and I wish him the best for his career. However, he's not done it in the right way for me, and that particularly makes me and a lot of Albion fans unhappy. But of course, feel free to voice your opinion in the comments below. Matheus Pereira leaving Albion to get a bit of money to boost the transfer budget, and I look forward to seeing who we bring in with that money. However, that does bring me to the end of this video here on the Baggies Podcast YouTube channel. A massive thank you for watching yet again, and if you're new around here, please do subscribe for brand new content coming every couple of days on the YouTube channel, so be sure to subscribe for that. That brings me to the end of the video, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.